Wednesday, June the 5th. Lake level's at 918 and a half, which is up about 2 feet from last week. We had a bunch of rain this weekend and the lake's been on the rise. Looks like it crested late last night and it's actually starting to go down a little bit now. They're still dumping a bunch of water. Water temperature still in the low 70s first thing in the morning and kind of staying 70 to 72 throughout the day. Before we get into the fishing, there's a bass club. It's the Bear Creek Fishing Club out of Harrison, Arkansas, is sponsoring a tournament this weekend for the Children's Charity Ministry. And what it is, it's a program that they do to help kids that families don't have a lot of money. They do like backpack programs where they send the kids home from school with meals. Kids that can't afford shoes and different hygiene things, they try to get and provide for the kids. So it's a good benefit. If you get a chance, it's going to be on June the 15th out of Sugarloaf Marina at Lead Hill. And if you don't want to go down and fish it, you could make a donation. And if you need any information on it, you can go to Children's Charity Ministry at hotmail.com. And also, Pro Guide Batteries has got a new store in Springfield, and it is on 5245 South Campbell, which is a mile south of James River, and it's on the west side of the road right beside Dive Ventures. That is also Battery Outfitters, Pro Guide Batteries, and they not only have batteries for boats, but they have anything that has a battery. They probably got a battery for it. Your vehicles, computers, everything. So if you get a chance, go by and check out their new store. Now, as far as the fishing, there was a lot of log jams in the upper James River and came down to Kings River. But a lot of the red, muddy water, where they've been pulling so much water, seems to be going on down lake, where there's not any area that's really bad muddy right now. But a good thing about that is the water where it's been real clear, it's brought some of that stain down lake too, so the water clarity's not near what it was, and it's put another 2 foot of water up into the bushes. Now, up until that front came through, the topwater bite had been phenomenal, and Saturday when that front come through, I found the topwater bite to be not as good as it was the past week, but we're still catching quite a few fish on top. A lot of different things working. A lot of the fish that we've been catching down lake in the pockets and just outside of the spawning pockets, had been a lot of smallmouth, and they seem to be getting a lot smaller. A lot of the fish are starting to move out deeper. Now, the smallmouth are still pretty shallow, anywhere from 2 feet to about 10 to 12 feet, and like I say, a lot of them have been short fish. But if I back out a little bit deeper on a lot of the same points, with a Carolina rig or a football jig, I've been able to catch better quality fish. And one of my clients yesterday had one just under 6 pounds. And we've been catching some big Kentuckys out there deep, and actually been catching a few fish on drop shots. Now I'm just fishing, just outside of the main lake, a lot of the main lake pockets and points. The fish are just making their, annual migration back out to their summertime spots. They're not out there that deep yet, but they're working on it. And as the water temperature gets warmer, the fish will get deeper. And what I've been Carolina rigging is little 4-inch French fries and centipedes. And the way I'm rigging it up, if we're throwing it on a spinning rod, instead of doing a split shot, I'm using it's like a miniature Carolina rig. It's a 3/8 ounce weight, and I use a Carolina stopper. Mann's makes them instead of a swivel. It just saves tying a couple knots. And if I'm using the 4-inch worm, I usually use a 1/0 offset hook. Now the worms I'm using both of these are fish doctors. I'm also using some centipedes, and this is a centipede that's a little bit bigger, and it's actually got little legs and stuff on it. And these will be available fairly quick in some of the tackle stores. I've got a friend that's been pouring these up for us to try, and they're working real well. Now, if you want to throw it on a bait caster, And I have been throwing a baby brush hog as well on some of the spinning rod, but normally if I get into a little bit bigger bait, and I'm using 6 to 8 pound line on that spinning rod. Now on a bait caster I'm using anywhere from 12 to 15 pound, and depends how deep I'm fishing and how much wind I have. I'll either use a 1/2 ounce or a 3/4 ounce egg weight, and I'll rig it up the same way. And I usually use 2 of the Carolina keepers with this heavy weight so that the keepers don't slide down. And depending on what size bait I'll use either a 2/0 or a 3/0 offset hook. This is a baby brush hog in watermelon red. Green pumpkin red's been working. Just a lot of the same colors that that we throw all year round. Watermelon purple or green pumpkin purple will work as well. Now the bite up the river, if I was fishing up the James, I would use probably a 4 or 5/0 hook, and I would use a full-size brush hog or creature bait, or maybe even a 9-inch worm. Normally, like after Memorial Day from the James, from Ants Creek up, is kind of the hot area of the lake. But where we've been behind, a couple weeks behind with everything this year because the cooler temperatures, it really hasn't come on yet. But that's something that a person needs to be looking out for. It should start in the next week or 2 if it hasn't already. Once this water, the logs and the water clarity kind of gets straightened out as they pull the lake down, the bite should start getting real good up there. And what we fish up there is a lot of the main lake gravel flats where a channel comes up against it. The good thing about fishing up there is you don't have to fish as deep in the James as you do like in the Kimberling City or the dam or up there by Baxter and Campbell Point area. Now the same thing will work up in the Long Creek area. And like I say, that bite usually starts coming on about Memorial Day, but it's probably going to be another week or so. And then, throughout the summer, the hotter it gets, the better it gets, the more position and fish get up there. And right now, where they're running a lot of current, that's ideal on a lot of them drops and them breaks up in the river arm. Football jig will also work in the same areas. Now, I haven't had the opportunity to get in the bushes since the water has come up, but I run into a couple guys yesterday at the Shell Knob Bridge, said they had 4 limits of bass, fishing from Baxter to Shell Knob Bridge, fishing the pockets on the flats, not on the steeper side, but on the shallow side of the lake, on the gravel flats. They were flipping a 3/8 ounce pig sticker jig into the bushes. And they actually gave me one of them, and it's called a 3X is the color that they're throwing. It's kind of like a watermelon candy with a zoom speed crop. He said there wasn't any particular bushes. They were just starting at the mouths of these pockets, fishing all the way through them, flipping every bush. They said they caught like 35 fish and had, roughly 18 to 20 keeper fish with one up a little over 5 pounds. So in this, I was up in that area yesterday and we were Carolina rigging, but where that water was really clear, it's got nice stain to it. It's by no means dirty, but it's not near as clear as it was. So, a person can get up around them bushes and get a little bit shallow, and not have to worry about spooking the fish. Also, spinnerbait and buzzbait on the right day. First thing in the morning, the buzzbait might work. And if you get quite a bit of wind where you can't flip the bushes, you should be able to throw a spinnerbait in them. But, a lot of different things happening with the water level coming up. Some of the drop shot fish I've been catching haven't moved out there real deep yet. They're still 26 to 28 feet. But till that water gets in the high 70s, I don't expect a lot of the fish are going to get out there in that, 25 to 35 feet just yet. I seem to be catching them from that 15 to 20 foot range right now on their way out there. So, till next week, good luck, good fishing.